In a year where most mainstream cinema has been a slog, horror has been carrying the torch with some of the strongest original storytelling we've seen in years. The best horror releases in 2025, films like Sinners, Companion, Together, and now Weapons, have had one thing in common: well-written, emotionally resonant characters who feel like real people. These aren't just cardboard victims for a killer to pick off. They're layered, charismatic, flawed, and often deeply tragic. It's proof that good storytelling and careful writing elevate horror from the so-called red-headed stepchild of cinema into something that can be thought-provoking, heartfelt, and even cathartic. Horror can show us the darkest corners of life, help us navigate them, and give meaning to the unexplainable. Weapons is exactly that kind of film. Written and directed by Zach Cregger, whose 2022 debut Barbarian was smart and surprising, even if its ending didn't entirely land for me. This follow-up cements him as a filmmaker who understands how to balance mystery, atmosphere, and character-driven tension. I feel the same way about Weapons as I did about Barbarian, but I'll get into that later. The plot, which I'll keep spoiler-free, unfolds in the town of Maybrook, Pennsylvania. 17 children from teacher Justine Gandy's third-grade class suddenly vanish, running from their homes in the middle of the night, and only one, a boy named Alex, remains. Weeks later, suspicion begins to turn toward Justine, and she's placed on leave by her principal, Marcus. Depressed, isolated, and desperate for some kind of connection, she reaches out to her ex-boyfriend, Paul, a recovering alcoholic and police officer. Meanwhile, Archer, the father of one of the missing kids, grows frustrated with the stalled police investigation and begins his own search. The film's structure is one of its strengths. The story is broken into chapters, each told from the perspective of a different central character. Every time the narrative reaches a key moment, it resets from another point of view, slowly layering new context until the threads all weave together. This approach keeps the tension high, allows us to see the emotional fallout from multiple angles, and makes the final act feel all the more personal. At its core, Weapons is about grief, suspicion, and the way a small-town community can fracture when tragedy strikes. The fear and paranoia are just as tangible as the mystery itself. Parents want answers, and when they don't get them, they start turning on Justine. The supernatural elements may be subtle, but the real horror is in watching the human relationships break under the weight of uncertainty. The cast is phenomenal. Julia Garner delivers one of the best performances of her career, taking Justine from a meek, unassuming teacher to a grief-stricken alcoholic to a determined survivor in the span of 2 hours. She inhabits this role. Josh Brolin is equally compelling as Archer, a flawed but loving father whose desperation pushes him into an uneasy alliance with Justine. His scenes carry a quiet intensity that never feels forced. Alden Ehrenreich brings an unexpected depth to Paul, a man trying to rebuild his life while being pulled into a dark and sinister mystery. His subplot adds texture to the story, showing how personal demons can resurface under pressure. Even the supporting cast stands out. Nobody feels wasted here. That said, my one real complaint is the ending. Without spoiling anything, it takes a tonal left turn that doesn't match the careful pacing and grounded emotional tone that came before. It doesn't ruin the movie, but it did pull me out of the immersion of those final moments. Still, I can't recommend this movie enough, especially seeing it in the theater where the atmosphere and sound design can wash over you. If that's not possible, do yourself a favor and avoid spoilers until it hits streaming. The backstory of the film's production is also worth mentioning. Cregger was inspired to write Weapons after the death of his close friend and collaborator Trevor Moore. When the screenplay hit the market in January of 2023, it sparked a massive bidding war between Netflix, New Line Cinema, TriStar Pictures, and Universal. Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw Productions even threw in with Universal, but when they lost the bid, Peele fired Joel Zadak and Peter Principato. That's the kind of behind-the-scenes drama that shows just how hot this script was, and it's rare to see that kind of enthusiasm for an original horror story. This is the kind of year I want horror to keep having. Original ideas, bold filmmaking, and characters you actually care about. Weapons is proof that audiences will show up for horror that's not just chasing trends, but is genuinely well-crafted. Here's hoping studios take note and keep giving us more of this caliber. Thanks for watching this review. If you liked it, hit the like and subscribe if you can. If you didn't, hey, thanks for sticking around anyway, and I'll see you on the next one.